I have these weights here. You wonder why I have these in my hand? So I want to talk to you today about something called resiliency, or about being resilient. And being resilient is about being emotionally strong and mentally strong and being strong on the inside. That's why I had these weights. I've done videos before with these weights, with all of them, and how I have begun doing them and how I grew physically little by little, and how we can grow just in our character also little by little. I've done a video and teachings on this before, written about it a bunch of times, but we can do that with this thing called resiliency also. Resiliency is something that's on the inside of us, and those of us who have suffered trauma, we probably don't have very much of it. I know I was not resilient as a child. I suffered quickly. I was a sensitive child. One of the ones that I got traumatized because I was sensitive, and then it just kind of spiraled from there along with other multiple things that took place. But I want to talk to you about this thing called resiliency because it can help you in so many ways, and I have 12 different ways that you can help yourself to grow in this area called resiliency, or being resilient. The word resiliency is now a psychological term, but it didn't always used to be. It used to be a mechanical term. Way back in the 1950s, 1950s, it was a mechanical term that was about returning back to its original form or position. It was speaking about like a spring, like you've seen springs before, springs in beds and in sofas and things like that. You stretch them and they go back. Well, that's the mechanical form of resiliency. But for us emotionally, that means that we can bounce back from hardship. We can recover quickly from a crisis or a difficulty. And that's a very good characteristic to have. And if you don't have any of it now, the good news is you can get some, and you can grow in it little by little, just like those weights that I was flashing in front of you at the beginning. And those of you who are hearing this later, you won't see that, but I have those weights, and it's little by little. So you can grow in resiliency. And what resiliency can do for you is so that you fall apart less, you fall apart slower, or you don't fall apart at all. But I'm not here to condemn any falling apart. I want to bring up something, a meme that we love, that we've seen. You may have heard this. It says that tacos fall apart and we still love them. Well, people fall apart. We all fall apart at some point, but how much resiliency we have will elongate how long it takes for us to fall apart. And there's no condemnation for wherever you are now, because where you are is where you can start. And so you can be happy about that. It's like seeing where you are right now and deciding to start now of building this thing called resiliency into your emotional wellness, excuse me. And I'm going to give you 3 things today that you can do to build your emotional resiliency. And one of them is to feed an optimistic outlook, to feed on the positive. That doesn't mean to ignore the negative. It means to just feed that positive. It gets that stronger on the inside of you. The second thing is to feed your sense of humor. Having a sense of humor is so important. It strengthens us. We can laugh at ourselves, we can laugh at life around us, and it just lightens everything. And third thing you can do is practicing emotional awareness. And if you are a trauma survivor, if you haven't been through much of addressing your trauma, this may be really difficult. It was really hard for me at the beginning of my counseling and my therapy, before I wrote my books and before I got to do all this great stuff of coaching everyone else. I was afraid of my feelings. I was afraid of how I felt. I was afraid of calling them what they were. I was afraid of feeling them. And so there's no condemnation. If that's where you are, just be where you are and let yourself be there and say, I'm going to grow from here. I have grown. You can grow. Anyone who wants to grow can grow. Like the tagline on the end of my podcast is, Only I can change my life. No one can do it for me, because it's so true. No matter where you are, you can do something to change your life starting today. So I have those three things I can offer you right now of feeding an optimistic outlook, feeding your sense of humor, and practicing emotional awareness, which is how do I feel right now? And do it in little spurts. If it's unnerving to you, do it in little bitty spurts. Little bitty spurts, and you'll do it more and more. That little by little, like I started with. We grow little by little. Think if you plant a seed, it doesn't turn into a tree or a tomato plant the next day. It grows little by little, and you're alive, and you grow little by little, and you will heal little by little. And that's how we get anywhere, is little by little. So I want to encourage you today to build and grow in the area of resiliency, because you will be able to survive and thrive through difficulties that you would never have been able to survive or thrive through before. So it really is to your advantage to grow in this. And to get more information on this, on my website, danielleburnock.com, I have an article on 12 ways that you can build resiliency. I gave you 3 today, but there are more, and I have much more help on my website. Because I love you. I'm that lady on the internet who loves you, Danielle Burnock. Love yourself from survive to thrive. I want you to thrive in life, and building resiliency will help you do that. And so until next time, I love you.